Good, good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I'm pleased to share information on the Ministry of Public Works plans and initiatives for the 2021-22 budget year. Considering the challenges this country and the world has faced over the last 12 months, the Ministry's plans will be continuously scrutinized and adjusted as necessary to ensure we are on target to achieve our goals. At the same time, the Ministry will continue to seek out opportunities that will enable the government to grow the economy. For fiscal year 2021-22, the Ministry of Public Works has received a budget allocation of $67,010,000, which is $3,752,000 below the original 2020-21 year. To achieve this budget, which is almost $4 million less than the last fiscal year and $8.4 million in total less than 2 years ago, there are only two areas where these funds can come from: staffing or operations. The Ministry worked to find areas to save costs without reducing staff. A combination of reduced operations across the Ministry and the removal of funding of 62.5 vacant funded posts, reduce the maintenance and operating budget for vehicles, and reduce the training budget got us to our goal. The Ministry's budget includes the following departments: Ministry Headquarters, the Department of Public Lands and Buildings, the Department of Works and Engineering, and the Department of Parks. The Ministry also provides an annual grant to the Bermuda Housing Corporation and supports golf course operations. It should be noted that West End Development Corporation and the Bermuda Land Development Company are usually not financially supported by the Ministry's operational budget. However, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, support is provided this financial year. The Public Works Headquarters provides accounting, human resources, management, purchasing and supply, safety and health, and architectural support for the various operating areas throughout the Ministry, and telephone services for the entire government, among many other functions. Public Works Headquarters will enter the next fiscal year with a budget of $5,610,956, a decrease of $593,686, or 9.57% when compared to the current year budget of $6,204,642. The budget decrease is due mainly to the transfer of staff from the Ministry's HR section to the Department of Employee and Organizational Development, and a reduction in the training budget of $79,990. The Department of Public Lands and Buildings is responsible for the efficient management of the government property portfolio to enable the delivery of effective public services. Guided by the Public Lands Act of 1984 and other subordinate legislation, the department manages the entire government estate. These assets include commercial and residential leases and licenses, leases and licenses for the foreshore and seabed, the provision of maintenance and repair programs for all government buildings, and ensuring adequate insurance for property assets. The department will enter the next fiscal year with a budget of $19,610,000, which represents a $309,000 or 1.60% decrease from the approved funding for the fiscal year 2020-21. This decrease results from not funding 13 vacant posts within the department and a reduction in its training budget. The Department of Works and Engineering is responsible for providing essential services to the Bermuda public and the maintenance of principal elements of the government infrastructure that are highly visible to residents. The range of activities covered by the department includes garbage collection and disposal, hazardous waste, road maintenance and repairs, bridge maintenance, capital works delivery, government vehicle maintenance, and safe water extraction, treatment, and distribution. The budget also focuses on adequately resourcing the engineering sections to ensure efficient and expedient delivery of several large capital work projects. These works will include rebuilding of bridges, refurbishing ferry docks, upgrades to water infrastructure, and highways resurfacing. To facilitate the above goals, the Department has $26,975,804 for the fiscal year 2021-22, representing a $2,323,000 or 8.4% decrease below the approved budget for 2020-21. This decrease is attributed to not funding some 23 vacant posts within the Department and reducing maintenance costs for the Ministry's fleet of vehicles and the Department's training budget. The Department of Parks is responsible for maintaining and improving 75 amenity parks protected under the Bermuda National Parks Act, 1986. The Department provides trash collection from amenity parks, public toilet, park, and school playground maintenance, historic site maintenance and restoration, seasonal lifeguard service at 4 public beaches, park ranger service and enforcement, and special event permitting and seasonal concession licenses. The Department also provides landscape maintenance for 96 government properties, 30 kilometers of roadside verges, 30 school grounds, 6 sports fields, and 3 roundabouts. The Department will be operating with a budget of $8,762,450 for the fiscal year 2021-22, representing a decrease of $526,678 or 5.67% from the approved budget for the fiscal year 2020-21, mainly due to not funding 18 vacant posts within the Department and a reduction in operational activity. The Bermuda Housing Corporation is responsible for managing 594 government and private sector residential units island-wide, along with 8 transitional homes made up of 198 rooms for emergency and transitional housing. The BHC manages a portfolio of mortgages and in previous years provided collateral for other client mortgages with local banks for new home ownership. The BHC is also responsible for the administration and operations of the Helping the Unemployed Sustain Themselves with Limited Unemployment, the Hustle Truck Program initiative, and the Rent Geared to Income program, where only 25% of household income is paid toward rent for BHC-owned properties. The Ministry of Public Works has provided a $6,050,000 grant for 2021-22, which is no change from prior years. At this time, I will expand on some of the initiatives the Ministry continues to progress. The Economic Stimulus Program. In spite of the reduction in funding, there remains an urgent need to provide stimulus to the local economy to retain and boost employment numbers in the wake of the economic downturn sparked by COVID-19 pandemic. To that end, the Economic Stimulus Program is being implemented by the Ministry of Public Works. It involved compiling a list of shovel-ready projects that are executable within 3 months. These projects are mostly infrastructure improvements and will not add further burden to government operational expenses. The project selection principles are to maximize the private sector's employment while providing much-needed refreshing of neglected infrastructure. The request for suppliers' qualifications was completed on February 15th, and I can advise that we received contractor company submissions from multiple disciplines. Since receiving the RFSQ assessments of the submissions, including a scoring of technical competence, local employment benefit, and a schedule of unit rates have been completed, and suitable companies have been added to the approved contractor lists. So far, of the 100 submissions received, 48 contractors have been approved. Following this process and using the restricted procedure, Section 16 of the Code, the Ministry released the first request for quotes on February 22nd. I expect we will quickly obtain 3 or more quotations from the various suppliers grouped by suitability and vocation to select a contractor for every 2 projects. Where works are specialized or contractors' availability is limited, either through companies already obtaining a project from the program or natural scarcity, a single source contract will be negotiated based upon unit rates. Under this contract and following these specifications, the work to be done consists of furnishing equipment, materials, supervision, labor, technical knowledge, and skills necessary to satisfactorily and safely complete the job as outlined in the agreement. I expect we will soon award the first number of contracts to vendors. Water and Wastewater Master Plan. Last summer, I announced the government's commitment to review the current system for handling water and wastewater and to properly treat sewage waste across the island, including the 2 municipalities. Phase 1 of this massive undertaking involves laying underground piping throughout the whole of Southside and the town of St. George. The sheer scale of work being done is painstakingly but critical to realizing the commitment to improving this vital aspect of the island's infrastructure. I'm incredibly pleased with the progress overall. The Phase 1 master schedule is proceeding as planned and is expected to be completed in the fourth quarter of 2021. Following the completion of Phase 1, Phases 2 and 3 of the island-wide project will begin. This is the kind of project that addresses the needs of the country. People are working, earning, and able to take care of their families while their valuable labor is transforming a vital part of Bermuda's infrastructure. The Ministry of Public Works joint initiative with BELCO. The public will recall my announcement just over a year ago of the Ministry of Public Works and BELCO's joint initiative to carry out a coordinated approach to road trenching. The primary objective of this was to enable BELCO to conduct significant upgrades to its network over a 3-year period. It was also an opportunity for other businesses and stakeholders to coordinate their efforts during this island-wide trenching exercise to ensure that all the necessary entities were prepared and ready to lay all underground equipment. These coordinated trenching works ensure that once complete, the people of Bermuda will have newly paved roads that will be more durable, resilient, long-lasting, and not have to be excavated again in the foreseeable future. I'm also delighted to advise that these works have provided employment opportunities, thus further stimulating the economy. The size and scope of the BELCO project and completing it on schedule has involved enlisting private sector contractors, which in turn created jobs for other sectors. These are some of the highlights that comprise the Ministry of Public Works budget for 2021-22. While we have made progress, I have no doubt we will continue to face challenges ahead. And so in closing, I want to remind that the Ministry of Public Works will continue advancing capital projects that will keep people employed while refreshing our infrastructure. We will continue to work to retain jobs and still maintain a positive delivery schedule. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. At this time, we will accept questions from the media. If you can please step to the microphone.
Thanks for having us, Minister. I'll try and keep it brief.
Okay.
You mentioned the contracts for the economic stimulus. I was wondering if you could tell us maybe any of the top projects that we'll be seeing next getting rolled out under that?
Some have already started. The first project that was awarded prior to the conclusion of the assessment was the solar project that is going on 4 government buildings: the government administration building, the post office, this building, Global House, and the bus garage in Devonshire.
Thanks. And with the joint initiative with BELCO, it looks like that's going to be a biggie. Do we have a number of the people that are going to be working on the start of that?
I don't have a number. That's a BELCO thing. But what I will say is that there is concurrent activity going on. At the moment, there is work going on in the east. They're at the St. David's side of the waterway and starting to go underground on the way to St. Regis. And the project in the west has begun last week. They're doing some work on site at Belmont substation, and then shortly they'll start to trench to Camp Hill.
Thanks. There were just a few other projects I wanted to ask about. You mentioned the bridges. Is there a timeline for that one yet? And is that going to be a P3? The Longbird and the Swing Bridge?
We're not at that stage yet. We are ready to go in terms of construction. The only thing missing is a critical component, and that's money. And so we are in discussions with the Ministry of Finance, but that's about $100 million project for both bridges, about how it is that we can bring that to fruition.
Is there any plan for paying for it with something like a toll or a charge, or are we not there yet?
That would take us 3 lifetimes to pay for it from a toll and from resistance from Bermudians. There are a number of funding mechanisms being looked at and discussed with finance, but we've not made a decision on how to proceed as yet.
Right. And similar to that one, I know you just answered questions about the arbitration center. One thing I wanted to ask, though, with the P3 idea with that one, does that mean that folks will be paying for mediation services to fund the project?
I think you mixed up 2 things. What was the question?
The Artwell AC's
Yeah.
arbitration center, that's going to be a P3. So does that mean that, you know, when it's up and running, people that get mediation services there will pay for those services?
Yes, the idea is that the current offer that's on the table that's being reviewed by finance is for an almost rent to buy. So the developer will pay and build the building, and the government will rent it back over a number of years in order for them to get their money back. And those that make use of the arbitration center will pay for that. There is a market for that internationally, and at this stage of the game, whilst the detailed analysis of costs have not been done, what we hope to include in those costs is the ability for locals who have minor disputes that do not warrant going to court over, to be able to utilize that facility as well for arbitration of minor matters between individuals or groups of individuals.
Let's see. And the budget, that's before the Ministry of Finance?
There is a proposal that we've received from Millhouse Engineering that's before the Minister of Finance. I suspect that now that we have the budget out of the way, he can turn his attention almost single-handedly to that. I ask him every week for a status because we're chomping at the bit in terms of getting construction underway and creating some more jobs.
Is there a figure for it that you can share with us?
I don't wish to do that at this stage,
Okay.
but certainly once we have an agreement, we'll put that in the public domain.
Gotcha. Just 2 more, if I could. I wanted to check with the Bermuda Inn Resort and see if any units have been sold there. And
The Bermudiana Beach Resort?
Yeah.
No sales have been made. You will have seen in the Minister of Finance's announcement, a budget statement, that the government is guaranteeing a $10 million loan in order to complete the conversion of the units there, and we have it's been delayed for COVID and just the fact that people cannot come and see what it is that they're buying. But we are optimistic that the Hilton brand and Hilton reservation system that is being utilized will aid in the sale of those units and will be up and running before the end of this year.
Thanks. And just lastly, is there anything you can tell us about the year ahead in terms of increasing numbers of affordable housing? Are there any projects upcoming there?
That's not something that's been included in the budget. It is. We do have a number of projects lined up that are ready to go from a housing corporation perspective. And again, it's a question of money. But we do have a proposal that we will be putting to finance if there is to be a economic stimulus phase 2, which will get us going with a number of projects for renovation in order to be able to get some units. This is a real significant irritation to both the board of the Housing Corporation and myself, in that we have not been able to, for 8 years now, sorry, my math's off. Yeah, about 8 years, since 2011-12, produce any new units, whilst there are still people looking for units and for help. And so we are looking at creative ways we can come up with funding in order to be able to get some of those projects across the finish line.
Thanks for your time, Minister.
Afternoon, Minister.
Good
You might have
afternoon.
already addressed this. I'm wondering if you addressed the work taking place on Harbor Road?
In Warwick?
Yes.
Yes. Due to be completed, the weather holds up. We're about 3 weeks behind from weather delays. We expect that it'll be completed by the end of this month. It's causing us a little bit of anxiety, in the sense that the Belco works that are starting at Belmont will have an impact on traffic on Middle Road. We'd like Harbor Road to be finished so that that's an alternate route that does not also add to increasing traveling times.
Thank you, Minister.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions from the media? All right, thank you all for attending and have a great day.